Nasrec, where there is a lot of exhaustion because voting for the top 6 happened all throughout the night after midnight, and huge anticipation. We are waiting for those results. Nobody knows when. Maybe we'll get some insight. I'm hoping in the next interview. We're joined by Jackson Mthembu, who most people know as the Chief Whip in Parliament, Chief Whip for the ruling ANC party. Here he is in his capacity as an outgoing member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. Mr. Mthembu, thank you for being with us. What time did you vote?
Around 2:30.
Oh my word.
In the morning.
Okay, so at least then after that you can go and sleep. But if you were waiting, you just had to wait 7, 8 o'clock, some people?
Of course. Waiting to vote, but of course there was so much vibrancy in the plenary, so it was quite interesting, so it was not strenuous.
Can you explain it for us, for people who weren't there? What sort of mood? Do people continue singing? Is there a long line? How do you know when to go and vote?
Well, in the plenary itself, around 2 o'clock or so, the people were singing. The mood was just so electric.
Yeah.
Singing wonderful songs, including songs about the Deputy President, who I believe will emerge as the President of the ANC, Ramaphosa, saying things will change. There is this song that says, "Zizoshintsha izinto." Things will change with him coming into the presidency of the ANC. So that's one song that was being sung. So the mood was quite electric.
Did you vote for Cyril Ramaphosa?
There is no way that I could have voted for anybody else, because this is what some of us have been saying. We've been for almost 6 months or so. We have been saying we need somebody who will have the guts and the political will to save our movement. We need a leadership that will deal with all the ills that are besetting our movement, including, people have accused us of being arrogant as ANC. People have accused us of being very soft on corruption or corrupt with the narrative of state capture. People have said that we don't seem to be getting our act together to decisively act on these allegations of state capture. So you therefore need, and of course you will also know, as I know, that the ANC has been beset with factions, divisions. You need somebody who will then deal decisively with these divisions, decisively with these factions. In our view, that person is Cyril Ramaphosa, but you can't put all these challenges of the ANC on the shoulders of one person. We think that him working together with the likes of Comrade Lindiwe Sisulu as Deputy President, working together with the likes of Comrade Senzo Mchunu, who has done wonderful work in KZN, by the way, as the Provincial Secretary, to bring an end to manipulation of ANC processes in the ANC. We think that Comrade Senzo will make a very good Secretary General, replacing Comrade Kwete. Again, a Deputy Secretary General is Comrade Losi Zingiswa on our part, who is coming with a long experience of COSATU and organizing.
And she comes from COSATU, so that's a big difference, that the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma camp, maybe if it follows in the footsteps of President Jacob Zuma's camp, could, this is a perception, could exacerbate those divisions within the tripartite alliance. Cyril Ramaphosa could maybe bring the alliance partners together again.
Our view, of course, we wouldn't like to speak ill of any of the candidates. I'm here to speak on Comrade Cyril, because indeed I voted for him. I would not like to speak about any other candidate because I'm not empowered to do so. But whoever who wins at the end of the day, by the way, is the ANC that would have won. Because this is a conference of the ANC. This is a conference of branch delegates. So the will of the branches, as expressed by who will be the voted president, all of us must respect, and I will respect that will. Having said that, you see, whilst we have been so divided as ANC and factionalized, we have even failed to give leadership to the tripartite alliance. We have not led the tripartite alliance. In fact, in many instances than one, we have been at odds with COSATU, with the Communist Party, with SANCO. That's another reason why you need a political willed leader that will also unite the alliance. Unite the ANC as the leader of the alliance first, because how do you lead the alliance when you yourself are factionalized? How do you lead society when you yourself are factionalized and are divided as the ANC? Therefore, this leader must unite the ANC. This leader must unite the alliance. This leader must assist the ANC to gain confidence of the people of South Africa. In our view, these are the leaders that I've mentioned.
What if Cyril Ramaphosa does not win and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma wins? Do you feel like you're taking a risk here, nailing your colors to the wall, and there could be a backlash in future?
By the way, I nailed my colors to the wall in 2007. Fortunately, there were no difficulties, we won. I nailed my colors in 2012.
So you haven't experienced a loss yet?
I've not had an experience of losing yet. But at the end of the day, that's why I started there. Any leader who wins is my leader. Let's first start there. We might have preferences now, and by the way, I've not only made my preference here at conference, I've made my preference through the length and breadth of our country. I've said why I think Cyril is that, and the ANC allows us that space, allows us to canvass for people that we think can be in leadership. But when a leadership is elected by conference, that leadership leads everyone, including those who might not have agreed with them taking over the leadership. That's in the culture of the ANC. And therefore, don't worry about me. When whoever who wins, that person who wins will be my leader. But I can assure you that a person who will close that conference will be Cyril Ramaphosa.
Okay. There has been concern, though, because you're talking about a leader who needs to unite everybody. And whoever comes in, it seems like the divisions here run deep. I mean, we've seen several provinces, divided leadership battles all about supporting either Cyril Ramaphosa or Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Can the party really unite after this, in some respects, ugly battle to get here?
Well, whilst I hear you on the divisions in provinces, let me just make an example. There are provinces that have come here with massive delegations, very solid, very united. One of those provinces is the Eastern Cape. Yes, of course, there might be a few people in that province who might be supportive of another view, but the strong viewpoint is a viewpoint that is held by the entire province. Over 489 or so, 79 delegates of that province are coming here as a solid people who prefers Ramaphosa. Secondly, another province with also its leadership, the province of Western Cape, who are coming here again with over 150 or so delegates, but they are coming here as a solid province with a solid leadership. Yes, you might have few people who also have their own preferences, no problem. Another solid province, Northern Cape, with their leadership and branches, they are coming here with another province, Limpopo. Another province where we are, the hosting province, Gauteng. All these provinces have unanimously, with serious majorities, said that Cyril must come in as president, Lindiwe Sisulu must come in as deputy president, Senzo Mkhunu must come in as secretary general, Losit Zingiswa must come in as deputy secretary general, and Comrade Gwede Mantashe must come in as the national chair, and Comrade Paul Mashatile, who comes from this province, must come in as treasurer general. So out of 9 provinces, you have 5 provinces that solidly say we are with Ramaphosa. But even those other provinces, KZN, whilst indeed the majority might support Comrade Nkosazana, you have over 200 delegates from that province that support Cyril. You have over 300 delegates in a province like Mpumalanga that support Comrade Cyril. You have quite very impressive numbers even in Free State, even in Northwest, even in the remaining. You have serious numbers. Therefore, I'm sitting here very confident that Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa is going to close that conference.
What about the reports? There were some this morning that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's caucus was very strong. Maybe the numbers for Cyril Ramaphosa had been inflated. Are you not worried at all? And I'd also like to know, you were talking about people singing about the Deputy President. When you're in there, do you hear two voices? Is it
yes.
competing songs? And who's louder?
Well, I will say ours is louder, but of course...
Honestly, who's louder?
That will be subjective. I will say that ours would have been louder in that conference. Of course, there were also people singing about Nkosazana. Of course. Yes, they also sang about her. So it is a contest. It is a serious contest. We are not saying that it will be a walk in the pie. We have not said so. It will not be a walk in the pie. There are serious numbers as well that have come here to support Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. We acknowledge that. But having acknowledged that, we have done number crunching. We know how much numbers, you know how many people are at that conference? 4,779.
Yeah.
You know how many you need to win conference? You need over 2,389 to win conference. Now, I can assure you that from where we are seated, unless something else happens there, we have the numbers to win conference.
All right, so you are very confident.
I am as confident as I've always been.
If you are correct, then the ANC has this age-old problem that it's been trying to deal with of two centers of power, because there's no doubt that these are two very different people, President Jacob Zuma and the Deputy Cyril Ramaphosa. Before I get you to answer that, let's just hear what Malani Favut, former ANC MP, a political analyst, was saying about the two centers earlier today.
If we now have a new president of the ANC, which we will have, but we still have the old president of the country, and he is not willing to go, you're going to have two centers of power, which is very, very messy, you know. So unless, and this is going to be the interesting thing, unless the two gets along really well, and they can talk, and there's no stress, you know, well, then I suppose, you know, there is this vague possibility that they can get along and it can work. Highly unlikely. And do remember that at Polokwane there was a decision taken that the ANC did not want two centers of power, exactly to stop this kind of conflict from taking place. And remember, then Thabo Mbeki was kind of pressured to resign. There is no pressure legally or constitutionally on the president to resign. But I do have to say that I think certainly if there's a Cyril Ramaphosa win, that there'll be huge pressure on the president to resign. And then if the NEC is behind Cyril Ramaphosa, that I think the president will go. He doesn't want to face a Mugabe-like scenario where he's possibly voted out in parliament, because that can then happen. And I think even under Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's win, she would like him to go as well. I can't see her wanting to live in his shadow, you know, for long. And so I think there will be pressure, most probably under a Dlamini Zuma when he might want to stay on a little bit longer, finish a few things that he hasn't finished, you know, a few deals around energy and so on.
Do you agree with her? It's going to be messy?
No, it won't be messy. By the way, our deployees, you know, let me first start by saying I'm a deployee of the ANC in Parliament as a chief whip. It's for the ANC to decide if I still remain there or not. It's for the leadership of the ANC. If they decide that we need another person to be chief whip, I will accept that with my both hands. Similarly, any other deployee, whether you are a president, because even a president is a deployee of the ANC. Comrade Zuma has said so many times. If the incoming leadership says, we think this is what we need to do, and again, I can't speak for that leadership. That leadership can speak for itself. even in discussions with the current President of the Republic when they come in. I don't think that we should jump the gun at this stage. Let's allow the incoming leadership to come in, to settle in, and then say, what are these things that they need to do which are a priority in their view?
So you're not willing to speculate on how much longer President Jacob Zuma will be president of the country?
Because I am not the NEC, incoming NEC of the ANC. It's only the incoming NEC of the ANC that can decide on such a matter. I think it would be too presumptuous of me to even make such a proposal.
When you were talking about the candidates, we were basically running through Cyril Ramaphosa's slate. There has been concern that if it lands up being a mix, so you have Cyril Ramaphosa as president, David Mabuza as deputy, and then you have a mix of people from the two slates, that it's going to be difficult, that this will be like a hung parliament. Is that concern justified?
Well, the reality is that we have a particular view on the top six, but we don't have any qualms with the leadership, the 80 members of the NEC being drawn from good cadres of the ANC. We have no problem there. So that you don't have any particular slate there. When it comes to these 80 must be people who are incorruptible themselves. Of course, as the ANC that has come here, leadership branches that support Ramaphosa, we would like even in that NEC people who are not corruptible. People who will not continue to bring disrepute to the name of the ANC through their conduct in the issues of monies, issues of tenders, you name it. You want people of high moral standing, and you can get them in the ANC.
What about the top six? If you have Cyril Ramaphosa, David Mabuza, some say they are chalk and cheese, and now they are forced to work together.
Well, isn't it? That's why we're saying this is a conference of branches. We believe that our branches also have an expectation of what they want from their leadership. We don't think that they will create a situation where even their leadership will be dysfunctional. Our branches will like to see a leadership that comes into the office and start working. But having said all that, the will of these branches we will respect. And we will have to work around whatever outcome that gets out through this conference voting. How do we respect that outcome and make the best out of it? And from where I'm seated, I'm convinced that Cyril will emerge as president. I'm convinced that Lindiwe will emerge as deputy president. I'm convinced that Senzo will emerge as secretary general. I'm convinced that Losi will emerge as the deputy secretary general. I'm convinced that Kwete will emerge as the chairperson, national chair. I'm convinced that Paul will emerge as the treasurer general.
Okay, so that would be a workable team. So let me ask my final question then. The ANC has gone into this conference arguably weaker than it has ever been. There's been losses of major municipalities, losses at the polls, a lot of criticism about corruption, state capture. How is the party going to emerge from this conference?
You remember that when we lost those three major metros, Johannesburg, Tshwane, PE, and we continued with our losses in Cape Town. We said at that time that we must introspect, we must self-correct. This conference gives us that opportunity. It gives us that opportunity to introspect. It gives us that opportunity to self-correct, so that as we rise from this conference, we can say to our people and show to our people that we have a leadership with a political will to take the ANC back to its people. We have a leadership with a political will to fight any allegations of corruption. We have a leadership with a political will that will fight any allegations, perceived or real, of dispensing of patronage. We arise at this conference with a leadership, with a political will to fight this thing that we are said to be arrogant. Kutiwa, we are very arrogant as the ANC. That being in power has made us to be arrogant. Now, we need a leadership that can remove this arrogance from the African National Congress, so that you send a clear signal to our people there that rising from this conference, we are an ANC, we'll try our best to be an ANC of Madiba, to be an ANC of Oliver Tambo. We'll try our best to be an ANC of Lutuli. We'll try our best to be an ANC of Dube. We'll try our best to be an ANC that is not self-serving, with leaders that are not self-serving, but leaders that are of service to all our people wherever we find them. This is what our people are looking for. Throughout the length and breadth of our country, people are looking for an ANC that will rise from this conference, an ANC that they can associate with, an ANC that they can be confident of, an ANC of integrity, an ANC of high moral standing. I believe this conference can do that.
I agree, that is the cry. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. Jackson Mthembu, here in his capacity as an outgoing member of the National Executive Committee, firmly in the Cyril Ramaphosa camp, very confident. And I can tell you that the markets are also very confident that Cyril Ramaphosa, who's seen as more palatable to investors, to business, is going to come in. The Rand has been flying, the JSE is flying. The question is, what happens if it goes the other way? And of course, Zuma Dlamini-Zuma gets the most votes. We are waiting. We're not sure when those votes will come in, but right now it's like everybody's holding their breath here at Nasrec, waiting for those results to see who will be the ANC's top six. We'll be bringing you continued live coverage. We'll take a short break for now, though.